What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S5 to the Sony Xperia Z2. Now both of these smartphones were announced yesterday and both on the same day, which was quite surprising. They're going to be going head to head against each other, flagship from Samsung and the flagship from Sony. But how do they compare? What's different? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head to head spec comparison. So let's start off with the size. There's not a huge deal of difference between these two in terms of size. The Sony Xperia Z2 is slightly larger, 4.8mm in terms of height, 0.8mm in terms of width, and just 0.1mm thicker. So in terms of the width and the thickness, not a huge deal between these two, but the Sony Xperia Z2 is slightly taller. Now it's taller because it does have a larger screen as well, so you've got a 5.2 inch screen versus a 5.1 inch screen on the Samsung Galaxy S5. These displays are slightly different as well. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has the Super AMOLED display, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 has an IPS display, but it has been massively improved compared to the previous Xperia devices. This is something that a lot of users complained about, that the Xperia devices, the display wasn't as good as some of the competition out there, but Sony have taken this on board and improved the Xperia Z2's display, and it's supposed to be live color LEDs is what they're calling it, and they are claiming that it's got the most vivid colors on any smartphone out there. So that's quite a bold claim to make from Sony, and it's good to see that they have made some improvements here on the screen. In terms of the resolution, you've got the same resolution on both of these devices, 1920 by 1080, so full HD on both here. In terms of PPI, because of the slight difference in the screen size, you've got slightly different pixel density. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has roughly about 432 PPI pixel density. The Sony Xperia Z2 has 424 PPI. So not a huge deal of difference in terms of the pixel density. You're not really going to be noticing much of a difference in terms of resolution between these two. Now in terms of the weight difference between these two, the Sony Xperia Z2 does come in slightly heavier, 18 grams heavier compared to the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now that does come down to the build materials used. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has a perforated back, so it's a dimpled texture on the back of the device, which is supposed to feel quite comfortable. Does it look premium? Well, that's arguable, but it's supposed to feel really comfortable and grippy in the hand. The Xperia Z2 comes with an solid aluminium frame with shatterproof and scratch-resistant glass panels on the front and the back. So in terms of a premium build, the Xperia Z2 does definitely get the advantage here. It does look and feel more premium, so if premium smartphones are your thing, then I'm sure the Xperia Z2 will be a little bit more appealing. Both of these devices are water and dust resistant, IP67 certified on the Samsung Galaxy S5. On the Xperia Z2, you've got IP58 certified. Now Sony have been doing this quite a bit on their recent smartphones and tablet lineup as well, having water and dust resistant features. Samsung have just incorporated this into their flagship. Now in terms of the internals, both of these are running a Snapdragon 801 processor, different clock speeds. The Sony Xperia Z2 has a 2.3 GHz quad-core processor, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S5 has a 2.5 GHz quad-core processor. So a slight difference in clock speed, nothing major here. So both of these are going to be super fast, and no doubt about that. The Samsung Galaxy S5 will also be coming in an octa-core version. There's not a huge deal of details about the octa-core version as yet, but the main version will be the quad-core 2.5 GHz version. In terms of the RAM, the Samsung Galaxy S5 has 2 GB of RAM, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 has 3 GB of RAM. So they have upped the gigabytes of RAM on the Xperia Z2. It's going to be better for multitasking and things, and having extra RAM is always a good thing. The different versions available, the Samsung Galaxy S5 is going to come in the 16 and 32 GB versions. The Sony Xperia Z2 is only going to come in a 16 GB version. Both of these do come with expandable storage though, microSD up to 64 GB, so you are going to be able to expand the storage on your smartphone. The Samsung Galaxy S5, there's also some reports that it's a 128 GB expansion, but this is not fully confirmed, so we'll have to wait and see about this. Now moving on to the cameras, both of these have great cameras on board. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has a 16 megapixel camera, supposed to be a larger sensor than the Samsung Galaxy S4. The Sony Xperia Z2 comes with a 20.7 megapixel camera, so you've got a very high megapixel count on the Sony Xperia Z2, and the sensor size is similar to compact cameras as well. The exact sensor size of the Samsung Galaxy S5 they've not specified, but it is larger than the S4. We'll have to put these side by side to test them out. In terms of the different features that these cameras offer, the Samsung Galaxy S 5 does have fast autofocus. Now this uses contrast and phase detection similar to what DSLRs use, and Samsung is saying 0.3 seconds it takes to focus, which is super fast. And it also comes with a selective focus feature which you can use to blur out the background on images later on to make them look a little bit more like they've been taken on a DSLR. This feature is also available on the Sony Xperia Z2, but they've called it background defocus, so they've got their own branded name on here. In terms of the video differences, both of these do 4K video, so 4K video at 30 frames a second, so 2160p, which is absolutely awesome on both of these. They both do 1080p video as well, and the Sony Xperia Z2 has 720p at 120 frames a second with time shift software. So what this is going to allow you to do, similar to the iPhone 5s, is that you film some slow motion footage and slow down just parts of it. The Samsung Galaxy S5, they've not specified the slow motion, but I'm pretty sure it does have 720p at 120 frames a second. The software side of things will have to be seen in the hands-on review. Front-facing cameras, you've got 1080p on both of these, but the Sony Xperia Z2 does have a slightly higher megapixel count, 2.2 megapixels versus 2 megapixels. Not a huge deal of difference between these two. And moving on to some of the additional features that both of these devices offer, you've got USB 3 on the Samsung Galaxy S5 compared to USB 2 on the Sony Xperia Z2. Now USB 3 is going to allow faster data transfer speeds with your machine, and it's also going to allow faster charging when you've connected your smartphone to the computer. You've also got an IR blaster on the Samsung Galaxy S5, Wi-Fi MIMO technology, so that's super fast Wi-Fi, and you've also got a fingerprint scanner, so on the home button you can swipe your finger to unlock the device and also make payments and things. Samsung have integrated this with PayPal as well, so you're going to be able to make purchases, which is great. And you've also got a built-in heart rate monitor on the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now this is a first on any smartphone. You can simply put your finger onto the back of the device just under the camera as a sensor, and that's going to measure your heart rate, and you're going to be able to use it with lots of health apps. The Sony Xperia Z1 has a little bit more concentration on the sound. You've got stereo speakers, so in terms of the sound they should be a lot better. Samsung Galaxy S5 still has the speaker at the back of the device, even though you're going to be looking at the front of the device, so this is a good improvement on the Sony Xperia Z2. And it also comes with Sony's own headphones out of the box, which are definitely better and more in value compared to the box standard headphones that you usually get on smartphones. Now the operating systems, both of these are going to be running Android KitKat 4.4.2, so the latest version of Android coming straight out of the box, but they've both got their own skins. So Samsung has TouchWiz and Sony has their own UI. Now this is going to come down to personal preference, which interface you prefer. In terms of the batteries, you've got a 3200 mAh battery on the Sony Xperia Z2. On the Samsung Galaxy S5 you've got 2800 mAh battery. Now although you've got a smaller battery on the Samsung Galaxy S5, it is removable. The Sony Xperia Z2 does not have a removable battery. In terms of actual performance, we are going to have to put these side by side and see which one gives more usage throughout the day. Now finally, in terms of the price, I'm expecting these to be similar in price. There's no confirmed reports as yet, but you can be looking at roughly between $700 to $750 in the US off contract, and in the UK between £600 to £650. Now in terms of the release dates, for the Sony Xperia Z2 you're looking at March time, whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S5 you're looking at April time. So you are going to be able to get your hands on the Sony Xperia Z2 earlier compared to the Samsung Galaxy S5. So there we have it, the Samsung Galaxy S5 versus the Sony Xperia Z2. Both of these offering some amazing specs and definitely some of the best out there at the moment. Sony seem to be trying really hard. They've been releasing a new flagship every 6 months. You had the Sony Xperia Z, you had the Sony Xperia Z1 just 6 months ago. Now you've got the Sony Xperia Z2. So they really seem to be pushing and competing in the market, which is great to see. But which one do you prefer? Which one do you think is the better of both of these devices? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. As soon as we've got these devices in hand, we'll have a full hands-on reviews on the channel in the usual style. So if you do want to see those first, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay, there isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.